as we move closer to our compare and contrast essay, your second major writing assignment in this course, I wanted to point out a couple resources that I have for you in the materials tab for this course. The first one is called Points of Comparison, and we've already discussed points of comparison, but this is a PDF. You can print it off, you can download it, and it really gets you thinking about how to use points of comparison to compare two different things. So I have it up on the screen here, and it's similar to what we talked about in the lesson, specifically looking at an iTunes U course and a traditional course, and working on points of comparison to compare each course. What it does at the bottom of the page is it gets you moving towards academic and home English. So before you start writing this essay, work through these handouts, and it'll get you set up. It'll help you get your ideas organized. So that's the first one, points of comparison. The second one is called Exposing the Tensions in the English Language. And here I want you to think about this idea of multiple Englishes called academic and home English. And I want you to jot down some characteristics of each English in your experience. So what are some characteristics of academic English? What are some characteristics of home English? Based on those characteristics, you will be able to come up with a definition. So this handout will help you get close to a definition. Please make use of both of those handouts before you start writing this second major writing assignment. And I want to show it to you now. It is called the Compare and Contrast Essay. And you will be comparing academic and home English specifically. In order to do so, you need to do a couple things first, and that is be able to define academic English, be able to define home English, and then develop some points of comparison. So on what grounds are you going to compare these two versions of English? That's going to be the heart of this essay. On this handout, I have some points of comparison listed for you that you may use. These are just examples. You may come up with your own, but these are similar to what we discussed in the lesson: mechanics, purpose, audience, and confidence. And what I want you to do is think about how to compare these two versions of English based on these points of comparison. So structurally, your essay can take many forms. There are a couple different ways to do a compare and contrast essay. One way to do it is to first talk about all of your points of comparison that have to do with academic English, then talk about all of your points of comparison in relation to home English. That's called the block method. You'll talk about academic English from all of your points of comparison, and then you'll talk about home English. Another way to do it is called point by point. This one I prefer. And in this one, you really focus on the points of comparison. So after defining each version of English, you will then talk about your first point of comparison. So for example, mechanics. Talk about mechanics from academic English, then mechanics from home English. Then move on to purpose. Talk about purpose from academic English, from home English. So you're constantly going back and forth, focusing on your points of comparison. Either way you do it, it accomplishes the same task. Again, for this essay, you need to assess yourself. So very similar grading to our narrative essay: a clear purpose and direction, clear effective thesis, and a compelling introduction. Don't forget about the funnel. Make sure you define each one, each version of English, academic and home English. Do you discuss the two aspects of the definitions? Do you have clear points of comparison? And can you use any supplemental readings? This is outside of this course, really. But can you use any supplemental readings, anything you've read or anything you've experienced in your own life as examples? This can be from your own personal life to any works of fiction that you've read. And of course, do you follow standard mechanics and grammar, as well as page length. For this essay, I think it's safe to say shoot for 3 pages, double-spaced. This essay is scored out of a total of 60 points, and you will assess yourself, and you see the grading scale below. So that is our second major writing assignment, the compare and contrast essay, where we look at academic and home English.